The Whispering Ornament. The first night, it was Christmas Eve in the small town of Frostwood, where the streets were blanketed in thick snow, and the faint glow of twinkling lights adorned every home. The smell of cinnamon and pine filled the air as the Fosters brought down their family's heirloom, box of ornaments from the attic. This year, Emma, the youngest in the family, was finally allowed to decorate the tree with her parents and older brother, Jake. Inside the box were delicate, hand-painted glass ornaments, some of which were over 100 years old. Each one carried its own story, passed down through generations. Emma picked up a small golden bauble etched with swirling red patterns. It felt unusually cold, almost as if it had been left in a freezer. "Careful with that one," her mother said sharply, snatching it away. "That ornament is special. We'll hang it together." Emma was disappointed but soon got distracted by the other shiny trinkets. The tree sparkled brilliantly when they were done, its lights reflecting off the glass ornaments in a mesmerizing dance of colors. But later that night, Emma woke up to a faint whispering sound. She sat up in bed, her heart racing. "Jake?" she called softly, but there was no response. The whispers grew louder, like a dozen voices speaking at once, echoing from the living room. Against her better judgment, she tiptoed down the stairs. The Christmas tree stood still in the corner of the room. But something was off. The golden bauble her mother had hung earlier was now spinning on its branch, faster and faster, as if caught in an invisible whirlwind. Emma froze in fear as the whispers stopped, replaced by a single low voice. "Emma," it hissed. The secret unveiled. Emma's breath hitched. Who's there?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The golden bauble slowed its spinning, and the reflection on its shiny surface shifted. Instead of showing the room behind her, it displayed something else. A dark forest blanketed in snow, with twisted trees that seemed alive, their branches clawing at the sky. "Emma!" The voice called again, now clearer. "Come closer." Her legs moved on their own, drawn toward the tree. She reached out to touch the ornament, but as her fingers brushed the icy surface, a wave of nausea hit her, and the world around her twisted. She was no longer in her cozy living room. Instead, she stood in the forest she'd seen in the reflection. The air was bitterly cold, and the only light came from the eerie glow of the ornament, now hovering in front of her. The whispers returned, louder this time, as shadowy figures emerged from between the trees. They had hollow eyes and faces like cracked porcelain, and they stared at her with an unsettling intensity. "You must find it," one of them rasped, its voice brittle and ancient. "Find what?" Emma asked, her voice cracking. "The lost star," another figure replied. "Without it, the cycle cannot end." Emma's mind raced. She had no idea what they were talking about. "Please, I just want to go home," she cried. "You are home," the first figure hissed. Emma turned and ran, the shadows chasing her. The whispers became screams, each one more distorted and agonized than the last. She didn't stop until she tripped over a gnarled root, falling face first into the snow. When she looked up, the golden bauble was lying in front of her, pulsing with a faint golden light. Emma reached for the bauble with trembling hands. As soon as she touched it, the forest dissolved, and she was back in her living room. But something was wrong. The tree was bare, and the ornaments were scattered across the floor, broken and shattered. Her parents and Jake were nowhere to be found. "Mom, Dad? Jake!" she called, her voice echoing through the silent house. The golden bauble, now clutched in her hand, began to glow brighter. A voice emanated from it, not the sinister whisper from before, but a soft, sorrowful tone. "They're gone," it said. "Trapped in the forest." Emma's heart sank. "What do you mean? How do I get them back?" "The lost star is your only hope," the voice explained. "But be warned, child. The forest does not let go so easily." Before Emma could ask more, the bauble dimmed, its glow fading into nothing. She was left in the quiet, empty house, clutching the ornament as tears streamed down her face. But she wasn't going to give up. If the forest had taken her family, she would go back and find them. She looked at the shattered ornaments on the floor, piecing together what remained. One fragment caught her eye, a shard with the faint imprint of a star etched into its surface. Emma knew what she had to do. Emma stood before the tree, the shard of the broken ornament in her hand. She pieced it together with the golden bauble, and as the two connected, a blinding light erupted, pulling her back into the dark forest. The shadows reappeared, their hollow eyes watching her every move. But this time, she wasn't afraid. "I know what you want," Emma said firmly. "You're not keeping my family." She held the bauble high, its glow now brilliant and warm. The forest trembled as the shadows recoiled, their shapes distorting into wailing wisps. The voice of the ornament returned, calm yet commanding. "Place the shard in the heart of the star," it said. Emma turned to see a clearing ahead, where a massive tree stood. Its gnarled branches formed the shape of a star, with an empty space at its center. She ran to it, the whispers growing into a furious howl around her. The shadows lunged, but the light from the bauble kept them at bay. She climbed the tree, the cold biting at her fingers. With one final push, she pressed the shard into the empty space. The forest erupted with light, and a wave of warmth swept over her. The shadows screamed one last time before they dissolved into nothingness. When Emma opened her eyes, she was back in her living room. The Christmas tree was intact, its ornaments gleaming as if nothing had happened. Her parents and Jake were there too, sitting on the couch, rubbing their eyes. "What just happened?" her father asked, bewildered. Emma smiled, tears of relief streaming down her face. "It's over," she said softly. The golden bauble rested on the tree, now shining with a soft, peaceful glow. The family hugged tightly, the warmth of their love banishing the lingering chill of the ordeal. But as they celebrated, Emma couldn't help but glance at the bauble one last time. For a brief moment, she thought she saw a face, a cracked porcelain visage, smiling back at her. The whispers were gone, for now.